Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fleetway Sonic experience. It's been a little bit of time since we've last touched the comics, but we've kind of been through a little bit of a breakthrough here, folks. We finally made it past issue 100 of Fleetway Sonic, the major turning point in the comics, because now the large goal has been accomplished, effectively. Robotnik has been defeated, removed from power, no longer is the ruler of Mobius, so now it's up to the freedom fighters to pick up the pieces, isn't that right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, we do have some interesting stories, but the real meat of what we want to actually talk about comes towards the end of all of these comics, where things begin to get fucking weird very quickly.
Fleetway Sonic, the bread and butter. How nice. That being said, though, we gotta talk a little bit. We did talk about it, at the end of the last episode, but we're gonna be doing things a bit differently from now on, folks, because now, instead of doing the comics, one by one, issue by issue, like we normally do, we're doing something a little bit more straightforward, I think is the best way to put it. So I found a site called grabber.zone, who is responsible for what they call the Fleetway Sonic Deluxe Edition. They put the stories together in chronological order. So instead of going by one, issue by issue, we're going to do the stories straight through. And I'm not going to lie, that is going to be a much better way to digest these stories, folks.
Yeah, it's vastly better experience in terms of reading. Everything is a lot more compact, more succinct, makes digesting the stories much easier. Now, keep in mind, just because we can digest the stories easier doesn't necessarily make those stories sometimes great, but they're still it's still just way better than it was before. The omnibus releases are great. I'm really, really grateful for this project.
And like I said, it's grabber.zone, so if you guys want to follow along with us, we are starting on Sonic Volume 6, the very beginning, with the first story here called Loose Ends, originally in Sonic the Comic issue number 101, Kitching and Dobbin, our creative team. We open with Knuckles and Porker. They're leading the people out from Robotnik's computer. Knuckles looks very closely at where Dr. Zachary was defeated, but to his surprise, it seems like he just dug away. Damn.
Bro dipped. They were in the middle of a revolution. He's like, alright.
They think he used the tunnel system out of the floating island to get away, but before Knuckles can give chase, one of the Emerald Hill folks stops him to say, hey, look, after everything, Knuckles, we kind of just want to go home, We appreciate you letting us live on the island. Without you, we would have been fodder to Robotnik a long time ago. We've been through a lot, and Zachary probably won't be any trouble for you for a while. And Knuckles figures, yeah, you're right. Until suddenly, the robots Zachary left behind come back online, and in preemptive defense, the Emerald Hill folk begin to attack and pelt rocks at the robots, and they retaliate by firing lasers at them. Until Knuckles stops them and says, whoa, the program Zachary installed is disabled. They attacked you because you attacked first. They're just defending themselves. So now that little confusion is over, I'll bring you back to the surface, and in order to do that, he needs to bring the floating island down. And go back to the Mushroom Hill and gather your belongings. You guys are gonna get to go home. And Knuckles asks Porker to come with him for an extra hand. And so, in the Emerald Chamber, Knuckles shows Porker the document chest he got from Plunder, and with it, he can restore the floating island back to its former glory. This is the dawn of a new age, one without Robotnik, and I think I'm gonna enjoy it. Our first little story, this is actually like a pretty good introduction, I think, to the status quo moving forward. We're going to be building up, I hope, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear that the Knuckles plotline is going to be shelved for a bit while they just kind of do whatever, so I hope you guys like politicians.
Yeah, reading this story after was a little bit of cognitive dissonance.
I mean, it just reads like every politician ever, so,
Sure, sure. So, this next story, also in issue 101, Vote for Me. Stringer, Corona, and Burns were the creative team. Sonic and Techno have been working to restore power to all the zones, and with Metropolis City back online, power's all back. Which now means they can live in Metropolis in peace. But Sonic wants to live in greener zones, running back to Emerald Hill and finds Tails. And Tails immediately asks Sonic, hey man, who are you gonna vote for? What are you talking about, buddy? But Tails explains, with Robotnik's gone, the people want to elect a new world leader. And between these two guys named Wombat and Baboon, Sonic doesn't really take interest in either of these guys. But Tails drags him to City Hall. They're doing a debate there. Yeah, okay, this is what we're doing, huh? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, we're here, I guess.
Very, very timely. At City Hall, the program's filming with both the candidates make their stump speeches of, rather bizarre promises. As an ant kid asks if either of them will help disaffected groups like them, as an anteater ate their grandma last week, and both of them push that down the line. And Sonic, he just sees this as okay. We have to choose between a bozo or a wingnut. Alright, sure. Then the next week, Sonic, Tails, and Amy are watching the news, seeing the two candidates fighting in the city streets in fucking Warhammer Imperial mech suits, which prompts Sonic to go in and break up the fight. While the two continue to just wreck the city, Sonic comes in to talk them down, but both of them end up to demolish the area to build a car park there anyway. So Sonic realizes, okay, so you two have intentions to abuse your power from the get-go, breaks their suits down, ties them up with the loose wires, and just leaves them there. And they both bargain with Sonic to untie them, but Sonic just tells them, yo, if you want to get out, you gotta work together on that front. Day of the election. The moderator in City Hall prepares to count the ballots live, but upon opening the box, a little moth flies out. Nobody voted at all.
Bro, one of the baboon is like, I demand a recount. Bro, what recount?
What recount, brother? With that insane turn of events, somebody from behind in the audience says the only person capable of ruling Mobius is Sonic. And the people cheer, but Sonic's like, no, man, you're fucking crazy. Are you insane?
I ain't being a part of this shit. Fuck that.
I mean, honestly, like, reading that, it kind of, I don't know why my mind went to this, but it just kind of made me think about, like, what if Ian, like, when he was doing House of Cards and Archie, he got the full version of the story? And, you got the monarchist with Sally, the democratic faction with Tails. What if we got, like, the wild card third option of a faction going, no, we're actually cool with monarchy, but Sonic should be king?
Bruh, what are we doing? Why? Don't remind me of this.
Oh, God, man. It just, like, I'm just saying, this would have been a banger Archie storyline. That's all I'm saying.
Would it be a banger Archie storyline? I don't know, man.
What's the opposite of a banger? Like, it's so bad it's still good, though. That's the question.
I have no clue. Ugh.
Sonic, after all that, is like, no. How about instead of having one global leader, how about each zone have their own leader to care about their own people? And even though that does mean more in an election, Sonic's just like, why don't you just do a coin flip? That's less of a hassle. Which, you know what? Maybe Sonic's onto something. Maybe we should hear him out.
We shall see. We shall see. We shall see if he is really cooking. Anyways, you want to read some fucking story about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? I don't know, man.
Truly the greatest B movie ever made.
I don't know, man. Just
yes.
Like, this is such a British story, bro. Like, is this not peak Brit?
It's kind of pretty. It's beautiful. It's quite beautiful, in my opinion. So, the story called Invasion of the Veg Heads was in issue 101 to 102. Stringer and Pridget, our creative team. Near the now disused chemical plant zone is the Plowright Zone. It's all agricultural farmland where farmer Nige has been growing his vegetable crop. This one is biggest yet, thinking he could even win a prize for some of these onions. But later that night, strange figures are prowling the streets, being caught by two sheep kids. And the next morning, they and their mom go to the town center to explain what they saw. Some people think they're just lying, it's how kids are, and an argument's about to break out. But then a guy comes in to break up this argument. He says his name is Harry Mole, an agent for Outer Ordinary Event Research, and wants to look into what these kids saw. And he assures the kids, of course, the truth is out there. We'll settle this, and they take them to Nigel's farm. Did you see anything weird? Nope, but my giant veggies have been stolen. And Mole asks, like, are you sure they were stolen? Oh yeah, it's not like they got up and walk away, did they? Until, turn right around, vegetables with hands and legs are rushing them. No, yeah, they did in fact grow legs and walked away. They make a break for it. Mole, being so short and stubby, can't really get away. Luckily for them though, Sonic was in the area and breaks the veggies' running path. Of course, making introductions, Sonic thinks maybe the farmer should try a different compost to avoid all this next time, but Mole begs him to stay behind to help solve the mystery. Sonic refuses though, if I stay in one place too long, I'll start to take root, as roots begin to entangle his legs and hold him down. From underground, a giant potato digs up wearing a crown, calling himself King Edward, the ruler of the Vegheads. Yeah, no, I see how this is very British. Yeah, okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know. This is so British, bro. It hurts.
Edward demands surrender to the zone for the Vegheads. To Sonic, he fought monsters and robots. I'm not going to be beaten by a potato. Buzzsaws his way out, distracting the veggies, and frees Farmer and the Mole. And, Nige, being a bull, very pissed that his own veggies turned against him and stampedes over them. Mole trying to keep up with Sonic, as the two intend to go to the chemical plant to get to the bottom of this. Mole wonders why the place was shut down after Robotnik was defeated, but Sonic points out, actually the place was never fully cleaned up, and points to a broken pipe spilling toxins into the river. Must have gone into the soil and mutated the farmer's veggies. And speaking of which, we haven't seen him catch up to Ice by now, so he's probably gotten caught, and decides to go back, telling Harry to start closing these pipes. And then at the farmer's land, Sonic sees him held down by the turnips, goes in to free him, all while asking where Edward has gone. Spill the beans. As, of course, a side panel of a green bean sprout has to be left out of this. Actually, pretty funny. That was okay.
That's relatively okay. I will give it a pass.
Farmer sees, though, the villagers have him captured and fully prepared to cook him and the rest of the Vegheads alive. But Sonic steps in saying, whoa, hey, wait a minute, hold on a second. Yes, they're vegetables, but they're clearly intelligent, so cooking and eating them might be a little fucked up. So what then? The onions start to speak up. We didn't really mean any harm, honestly, but Edward just has a chip on his shoulder about everything. But look, we'll behave, okay? And so, Nige steps up. Yeah, mutants or not, I'll take my onion's word. That's good enough for me. And offers the Vegheads a section of his land for them to live on, so long as they're peaceful, which Edward does agree to. So, all that's case closed. Sonic and Mole leave the area. His job is done, and Sonic decides to go back to his base to just veg out. Very funny book ending to this story.
Wow, I can't believe he vegged out, bro. He's vegging all over this comic.
Very uniquely British this time around, but alright. So the next story, which was in issue 102, Unnatural Disasters, Stringer and Elson, our creative team. Sonic helping two people brave a snowstorm as Mobius has been experiencing freak weather conditions as of late, especially considering it's springtime about now. He slips in the snow but sticks the landing as the two slide behind him, and collects snow to get stuck in a snowball and stop actually right in front of their house. So Sonic's like, that's good enough, thinks other people might need help, but when he revs up, starts kicking up water and sees the snows melting at a rapid pace. The weather has immediately changed into a heat wave, but tells the people around him to get to high ground because with the weather like this, they're going to get caught in a flash flood. And they do so. The water does normalize eventually. Some people have gotten rafts together, which wonder how things have gotten so bad. A paranormal fan thinks it's the curse of Dr. Robotnik coming for them. His magazine says so, with Sonic just swatting it down saying, don't believe everything you read. But another guy pulls out his TV receiver, puts it on the weather forecast with this forecaster, which he seems to enjoy, Wendy Wallace, being up for an award for most accurate weather forecasts. She forecasts freezing conditions, then hailstorms, followed by another heat wave for the day, which paranormal guy freaks out, we're all doomed here, and then falls overboard while he freaks out. Sonic rushing to save him, but actually sees him fine as the water has already frozen over. So now Sonic thinks, alright, this is a little weird here, man. Decides to pay this windy woman a visit right as the hailstorm starts. Breaking through the wall of the weather building, finds Wendy manipulating a weather machine, with her thinking the accurate forecast is ultimately what gave it away. She then explains she used to work for Robotnik as a weapons engineer, but with him gone, she's gotta work here. But the weather machine will give her the revenge she's been looking for. Then makes a thundercloud with it to electrocute Sonic, but explains that by finding particles in the atmosphere, she can create a deadly heat wave, dry out the planet completely. But Sonic uses the rain from the rain cloud, kicks up water into the weather machine, fries the panels, and it goes haywire, ends up creating a localized tornado, which Sonic tries to grab her hand, but she's pulled away by the winds as she swears she'll be back. Weather machine's done. Back in the city, the people just clean up all the water, as the paranormal guy asks Sonic how he's able to keep his cool in a crisis, which he says, I just don't let things get me down, even if I feel a little under the weather. Haha, very funny. Are these stories just like all just segues for like a joke? Is that what this is?
Yeah, they had a bit, and they were just like, all right, let's make a story out of the bit. And then that was the story that they came up for this week. Okay, well, if we're gonna talk about more important things. So, like, whatever happened to Supersonic?
Right, whatever happened to him. A very important story, actually. This was also in issue 102. Whatever happened to Supersonic, with Kitching doing both the writing and the art. So we actually open on, like, this art actually is kind of sick. Kind of a nightmarish, demonic rendering of Supersonic, gloating how he finally destroyed all life on Mobius. All except for you. Die as he rushes towards, and then Supersonic is startled awake. Nice cozy bed, as his caretaker Mage enters the room, heard screaming and wonders if he's alright. Which, he says he's fine, I just had the dream again, but it was clearer this time. Some demon reaching out to destroy me. So she steps back into the living room and talks to her husband. I feel sorry for the kid, has no memory and enduring these nightmares. But her husband, Arthur, has no sympathy for him. We can't afford to look after him on my pension. She refuses to let him be thrown on the street though, but Arthur's like, yeah, he'll live. It's not like Robotnik has troopers patrolling the streets. Then she kind of gets a little mad, saying, I wonder if you preferred it when Robotnik was in charge. Is like, well, I mean, at least the trains ran on time. It's more than you can say now. Bro's Hitler particle is on full effect here. God damn, man.
The Hitler particle's out here for real, dude.
Before they can really, like, get into that, Supersonic comes to the living room, says, I think it's time for me to be moving on. And Madge wonders if it's, because of what Arthur says, but he says, hey, if the boy wants to leave, To which she interrupts and says, you know what? My mom was right. I shouldn't have married you. Oh, well, why didn't you listen to her then? Domestic squabbling aside, Supersonic's like, no, I think I need to go and figure out who I really am, And I won't learn that staying here. The sun begins to set, but Madge does give Supersonic food and money for his journey, which he accepts. You've been very kind to me. I definitely won't forget this. And as he walks off, Arthur asks where his beer money went, but Madge says, I gave it to a more deserving cause. As Supersonic's shadow makes the shape of the demon in his nightmares. Great. That's actually legitimately great art. Love that.
Yeah, I like the reflection there. It's kind of cute.
Meanwhile, though, Amy and Johnny have been tracking weak spikes of energy nearby and think Supersonic may have been here, but the signals are too weak to track down and think Supersonic is too weak to do any real harm, probably miles away by now, as of course, Supersonic just passes by them as they decide to go grab a bite to eat. Fantastic story, although personally, I think that last page wasn't necessary. They could have ended it on Supersonic with his shadow casting and his demon. That would have been a perfect end to that story. Just a note. Just a note.
So, like, what do you think ends up happening to him? We don't know because it doesn't show up for the rest of this episode, but, like, damn, man.
I mean, he's got to get his memory back, don't you think?
Yeah, somehow.
I mean, I don't know if he'll go full on like he's going to have an existential crisis type thing of like, okay, this is what I meant to be doing, but maybe I had a bunch of positive experiences all throughout his journey. And it's like, well, now what? Like, I have this like desire and instinct to destroy, but I don't want to destroy. Could it be a Lilo and Stitch situation? Who knows?
God only knows, man. God only knows.
Anyway, the next story, a DIY Danger, which was originally in issue 103, Stringer, Corona, and Dobbin, our creative team. Sonic is attending a bridge opening ceremony at Jade Hill. Jade Hill, is that one of the zones from Sonic Extreme? The name just popped into my face.
It's either Jade Hill or Jade Gully.
Yeah, probably Jade Gully. Regardless, The zone leader is thanking the builder for the new bridge, Roger Bodge, for his hard work. They cut the ribbon and offers Bodge to walk across the bridge with them, and as they do, Sonic overhears the wood creaking and warns them both the bridge is not safe. But, they're just like, no, it's perfectly sound, what are you talking about? But Sonic does call it. The wood begins to crumble under their weight, and Bodge goes headfirst into the river stream. Might be a little hard as Sonic can't swim, but he gives it a shot and saves Bodge. He thanks Sonic as the zone leader comes back kinda pissed. Bodge thinks the material is just weak, undernourished trees, but he's not hearing this guy out. Either way, Bodge thanks Sonic for saving his life either way. Come back to my place for some tea, meet the family. Sonic is kind of more dragged along, but arrives to his house and Sonic sees the kind of shoddy work this guy always does, despite calling himself a DIY expert. Inside, he meets the wife Gladys, and she kind of begrudgingly thanks Sonic for saving her husband's life. Clearly, he is proud of all the work he's done to his house, but Sonic is clearly not very interested. But before he goes, Bodge insists, check out the robot butler I made, rebuilt from scrap. Sonic, very shocked to see that this robot is one of Robotnik's old troopers. Bodge insists, no, perfectly safe, fully reprogrammed. But the trooper's old programming kicks in upon seeing Sonic, chucks him out the patio doors. And of course Sonic has to fight back, pushing the trooper back into the house through the brick wall, and before he takes the final shot, the shelf over Sonic falls and hits his head. Turns tabled, the trooper prepares to take the hit, but when the new programming takes over, ends up just offering Sonic a cup of tea. Bodge replaced his arm with a tea kettle when he repaired him, and Sonic asked for no sugar in the cup, but the trooper's conflicting programming is damaging his logic processor, just ends up self-destructing and destroys the house. Gladys is even more upset that now her husband gets to do more DIY work, and as he leaves, tells Roger, the next time you want to do it yourself, just don't, man.
Why you like this, bro? What's the point? Is there a point? Should there be a point?
He's like one of the guys like, no, I'm not going to hire a contractor. I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars. I can do it myself, and it's just worse.
It's just 5 billion times worse, yeah?
Yeah, we all know guys like that, Hey. The next story here, also in issue 103, called Crawling from the Wreckage, Stringer and Elson. Very short, very quick here. Amy, Johnny, and Techno are digging around the wreckage of the Robotnik Citadel, looking for just anything they can loot, basically, until Techno's scanner picked up some life signs, and Amy thinks it might be short fuse. They dig through the scrap to find a set of stairs leading underground, and in the room, they find a cult. They find a cult dedicated to worshipping Robotnik's image, inducting a new member, this Dr. Robotnik Appreciation Tribe, they call themselves. So obviously the Freedom Fighters are not going to take this lightly and decide to shut them down permanently. And the leader, Grand Chief Whip, is preparing to fight back, leading him and other members to pull out many hand weapons and fire on them, as their meeting room was the old trooper armory. They rush back up the stairs to try to take the fight out the open to set it on even ground. However, they did not follow them. Instead, one of the cultists break through the ground on an unused Eggmobile design, which is a spring-loaded big arm. That's a little silly even for Robotnik.
I mean, we're gonna see clearly why he didn't use this shit, man.
And when he slams one arm down toward the Freedom Fighters, they take the dodge and instantly see the mobile's design flaw as the arms spring back and hit the driver. He's knocked out cold, but Techno and Amy found the other cultist escape, and as for this newbie, he swears he'll come back for them and Robotnik will rule again. Okay, that was nothing.
That was the most uneventful shit I've ever seen.
Yeah. So now, folks, we gotta talk about this next story, a Tails story. Now, normally the Tails stories have been a little lacking, let's say. This one goes in the complete opposite direction of what you think we normally get.
It's pretty wild.
Again, on Tails, flip side, originally in issue 103 and 104, Stringer, Flint, and Burns were our creative team. So Sonic and Tails are running through a town together. People are amazed to see Sonic in the flesh. As for the other guy with him, the nice one, but he's boring. What's his name? Paws or something? The name's Tails, actually. Oh, sorry, we didn't mean any offense. But Tails is a little dejected and walks into an alleyway wishing he was as cool as Sonic is, as he sees an ad for a Dr. Sorter's self-improvement lessons, which Sonic asks if Tails is coming along to Greenfield with him, but he says, no, I'm not. I got a thing to do. Which as Sonic leaves is like, oh man, I guess you mean something like flower pressing or equally as dull, leading Tails to meet with this doctor, who puts him in front of a rotating light to hypnotize him to sleep into suggesting he is quote-unquote one cool fox. Oh, God.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God.
You know how this goes. You know how badly this is gonna go.
So Tails wakes up, asks, how do you feel? Which he answers, I feel pretty good. I feel like I'm one cool fox, as he cartwheels out of the sofa, leaving the doctor to think she probably overdid the hypnosis. Tails leaves and launches up to follow Sonic as the doctor chases him outside, saying, wait, you gotta come back. Something's way out of line here. You are acting way out of character. Yeah. We then see Sonic meeting with the Greenfield Zone leader. The problem is this eccentric millionaire, Alf Bandstade, is flying around the world on his hot air balloon, but the balloon has this hole in it, presumably due to his woodpecker co-pilot. But on the ground, Tails meets back with Sonic with shades, cap on backwards. Sonic the Hedgehog, how's it hanging, bro? What?
Do you? Wait, pause. Okay, so like, do you think he's allowed to say that?
I'm just saying, he just looks like 90s Aaron Carter, man. Like, what is this?
I mean, this fucking reminds me of Vanilla Ice from like from Cool's Ice. Like, he's gonna be like, Cat. Your name's Cat. And he's a fucking, jeez, don't remind me of that fucking film, man.
Look, I don't know if I could even go this far. How should I put this? Remember hashtag Wiggler Wednesday? Fill in the details.
Excuse me. Hashtag
Whoa, I don't know if I can say that. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, man.
No.
Oh, no, man.
No. Okay, well, we'll just censor that if we have to.
Sonic wonders, what happened to Tails here? As the people become surprisingly very attracted to Tails' new look, and Sonic just thinks he's dreaming here. But Zone Leader is like, yo, guys, the balloon. To help. And Sonic's just like, okay, look, we'll save them. All right, Tails? Tails just disappeared. We need him to fly up to rescue those guys. So he finds Tails at somebody's house. The dude's just basically being pampered. He doesn't want to fly and ruffle up his fur. So Sonic's got a little bit of a ticking time bomb in his hands to snap Tails out of this before the balloon goes slap at the pavement. Yelling at him won't work, so he resorts to have to go save him by himself. Too bad you're not up for it. Oh, Hedgehog, you're saying I'm not brave enough? Which leads to, as a bandstand stumbles out of the basket, Tails flies up, swoops him, picks him up from the air, not letting Sonic have all the credit, leading Sonic to save the co-pilot to create an updraft to cushion the balloon's fall. But Tails just kind of drops him on the ground and flies off, saying to leave the flying to the experts. Woodpecker asks why Tails is acting like this. He used to be a nice guy here, leading to Sonic to come across the doctor who originally hypnotized Tails, and explains what she did. Sonic, though, adds what you did was turn him into a grade A creep. Can you reverse it? She can, but then they get interrupted by Amy, who says Tails is currently flying to the Tough Tea Club at the Gravel Pit Zone. Our boy Tails is just flying straight into the Salty Spittoon.
Welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are ya? How tough am I? Etc., etc., etc.
So we get there. Tails bursts through the door, asking for trouble, literally, as a patron just says, you gotta get out of here, kid, if you know what's good for you. Oh, is that right, Slobber Chops? And spills his tea in front of him. So, angers this guy, a lot of the other patrons. That's right when Sonic and the Doctor rush in. Sonic telling them, take it easy, the kid doesn't know what he's doing, as Tails insists he could fight them all with his eyes closed, leading the Doc to just snap her fingers, which resets his personality back. Tails understands, I may have gotten myself into a little situation, but Sonic's just like, hey guys, please, no harm's done here, we're just gonna leave, okay? We're just gonna leave. And the Bulldog here says, look, Sonic, I respect you, I respect your heroic deeds, but your little buddy here goad us up into a fight. We're not just going to let him walk off. So the dude swings, Sonic and Tails get out of the way, but the Doctor thinks maybe her methods could probably get us out of here in one piece. So later, back with Amy, Sonic and Tails agree to no more of the hypnotherapy. You're good as you are. Even if Sonic thinks he's a little boring. You just negated the whole story, buddy. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Oh, dude. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. He's really like this, huh? This is really just like how he is.
He just can't shut up. Like, he's gotten better. Like, admittedly, he has genuinely gotten better, but it's still there. It's still there.
Bro is so fucking just angsty all the time. It's crazy.
But they do end the story with saying hypnosis can be good for some, as we see the Doctor has hypnotized the bar patrons one by one from being tough bikers to peace-loving hippies. Well, isn't that just darling?
All right, man. This was the story of all time. Holy shit.
It sure was, wasn't it? Now, guys, we're going back to Sonic Volume 6 for a very meaty story of Captain Plunder, of all people.
This is a 30-page epic for some reason.
Yeah, and what could it be, folks? Of course, it's Captain Plunder. Well, it's called Captain Plunder and the Spice Maidens. What could this be about? It was originally in issues 103 to 108. And Kitching and Dobbing is our creative team.
Bro, can you imagine trying to, like, parse this story through, like, all of those issues? Like, holy shit, man.
I mean, we did it. Kinda. We can go through the story as God intended. Nighttime on the Scourge Bay. Captain Plunder, Flinch, and Simpson are at the docks staking out, kind of waiting for someone. And with Simpson at the bat, he's told to hide as Flinch spots someone. And they meet their person, a pirate, offering him to join their crew to search for treasure and be rich beyond their wildest dreams. A story he's heard time and time again, but Plunder shows him the map, who insists that this is a map that's been in the family for generations, despite the fact that the ink is still wet. Alright, map idea is a bust. The pirate, though, recognizes this guy as Captain Plunder, the biggest foul-up on the Seven Seas. Well, don't be so hasty. I'm sure we can convince you to join my crew. Which was the call to action that Simpson didn't recognize at first, has to call it again, as he goes in this time our boy wearing a samurai garb. The pirates just don't question this stuff anymore. He pulls stuff like this all the time. And breaks the bat over Plunder's head. Wrong target, you were supposed to get the other guy. And their guy sneaks off, repeating Plunder being the biggest foul-up on the Seven Seas. Plunder gets his bearings back and tells Simpson, "You're never gonna make it as a pirate, Simpson. You know why?" "No, Captain." "Oh, 'cause I'm gonna kill ya!" But, before he gets his chance, Zorbel, the pirate queen, interrupts. "So you're lacking a crew. I got you some. In her 5 daughters. We'll go get them." And they approach the tavern, which Plunder says is the roughest tavern in town. What would your daughters be doing here? Same as they always do, causing a ruckus, as we see the 5 girls in the middle of a tavern brawl and winning. Kind of sick, actually.
Crazy representation in, what year was this published?
1997, I guess.
Jesus. Wait, when did the original Spice Girls come out?
That's a good question. When did they come out?
1997.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it checks out. It checks out, folks. The next morning, Plunder and Flitch go to Zorbel's house for a meeting with her, and of course with her, meetings are not to be refused. They knock on the door, her butler opens and lets them in. This should be good for a laugh at least. So Zorbel introduces her daughters to Plunder, going by the name Cinnamon, Nutmeg, Coriander, Pepper, and Tarragon, with Cinnamon calling themselves as a group the Spice Maidens. Alright, that's cute, I guess. Nigel Kitching, Bro
said, "I will come up with the pop culture reference of all time."
Plunder asks directly, "What do you want from me?" And she gives him a map. "We're going treasure hunting, and you're taking the girls." Plunder does not believe this. A pirate ship be no place for girls. Everyone knows that women on board be bad luck, which is a very smart thing to say to the queen of the pirates, you know?
Nah, listen, man, it's 97. Sexism is okay, smile.
Of course, how could I be so foolish? Pepper sweeps Plunder's leg, gets atop him, and will show him what bad luck really looks like. That's foreshadowing, by the way.
Wow.
Zorbel reminds him, with all the trouble he's caused around Scourge Bay, you're lucky I hadn't kicked you out. So, you're taking my girls on your ship, you're getting my treasure. Be that clear. Plunder very kindly says, well, look, I would like to, but how would it look? Your sweet young daughters on a ship full of cutthroat pirates, it wouldn't be right. Just wouldn't be right. And that does convince Zorbel. Just let them go. Plunder bragging to Flitch that Zorbel ain't that smart, you just gotta know how to handle her. Then at night, Plunder and his crew ready to set sail off into the night as he sees the Spice Maidens aboard and is ready to kick them off, knowing Zorbel ain't there. but after receiving a knock to the head by a bone, no, she is here. Plunder, you are right about the girls being left alone on a ship with a slob like you, so I'm coming along. She demands cast-off, looking forward to this as it's been years since she's been on a ship, and once upon takeoff, this treasure be good as ours. Once they're up in the sky, Plunder asks Zorbel for a look at her map. About time, too, but she adds this map doesn't actually point to the treasure, but to someone who can direct them to the treasure. They're going to Skull Rock to find Krakatoa the Sea Serpent. He knows all the secrets of planet Mobius. Plunder's a little rattled to find someone of legend who supposedly destroyed 100 warships and devoured entire crews. But Corey comments, well, if the guy left no survivors, no one saw it happen. How do we know it's true? Don't try to get clever with me. Zorbel tells him to tighten his lips. I be Pirate Queen, what I say goes. Skull Rock, we go. And the next day, the ship lands at Skull Rock, but the girls are unimpressed, thinking Plunder may have intentionally set them off course, but nope, this is definitely it. And it is. They found Krakatoa, but the sea serpent is no bigger than the palm of their hands. Once aboard, he offers them 3 questions to answer, as all secrets of Mobius are known to him. Now, folks, prepare to witness literally every single bit with this character dynamic. Are you actually Krakatoa? Yes. 2 questions remain. What? That wasn't a question. What are you playing at? I'm not playing at anything. 1 question left. Zorbel stops Plunder, grabs Krakatoa from him. I'm going to show you how it's done. Do you know where the Atatek treasure is? Yes. Well, where is it then? Sorry, we used up your last question. Right. I asked you where the treasure is. No, you asked me if I knew where it was hidden. Zorbel herself has been played. Fishboy holds by his rules, but Plunder has a potential solution here. A little time passes. We see the 2 comment that Krakatoa doesn't have much flesh on him, but probably will be for a simple starter. As we see Simpson getting a pot to boil, they're going to cook him alive.
Yeah, they really said, fuck it, I guess if you're just gonna be annoying, then I'm just gonna bypass the rules.
Which, you know what? Very unique tactic. Sanji should steal this in One Piece.
Yeah, he absolutely should. He needs to.
That being said, after the persuasion, Krakatoa gives up the location of the treasure and leads them to a jungle island. Plunder thinks they're going to be doing some real hard digging, but Zorobel says this is not buried treasure. This is more of a lost treasure. The lost treasure of King Atatotek, sealed with him in his body in a tomb. So Plunder is a little nerve-wracked to be tomb raiding, but when he told him he was one of the richest rulers in history, Plunder gets his spine back. But Flitch pulls Plunder back, saying it's a little weird how Zorbel plus her daughters brought them along. Why do they need us? On top of that, I feel like I remember reading about this Atatek on a book in the ship, as Plunder just says, okay, then go back and see if you can find out more then. Plunder passes this off as him being a ghost, no good in carrying back treasure, as Simpson, in his adorable little Indiana Jones garb, says he found an entrance, excited about finally being a real pirate at all, but again, shut your trap. Thinking to the tome is guarded by booby traps, Simpson has volunteered, kicked down the stairs, headfirst into booby traps, and comes back being impaled all over his body, even his eye. He does show pain, but the crew just kind of carry on down, asking if people knew he was faking. Zorbel says, oh no, we knew. We just didn't care. Damn, man. No respect.
Bro, we simply did not give a fuck.
However, once they get down below, the seal to the tomb is unbroken, meaning the treasure is still inside, which leads Plunder to be given the honor of breaking the seal with a mallet, and does so quickly. But that's right when Flitch comes back warning him, do not break the seal. The girls go inside in this golden-laden tomb, and Flitch found the book saying, whoever breaks the seal will be cursed. That's why Zorbel wanted someone to come along with her. But Plunder is just like, come on, man. There's no such thing as curses. But the gold statue of Atatek comes to life, points at Plunder. That is punishment for breaking into my tomb. He will suffer the curse of Atatek. Curses him for misfortune and calamity for the rest of eternity. Plunder stands dazed as the statue goes back to normal. Flitch says Zorbel tricked ya. She knew about the curse and made sure you were the one to break the seal. And she admits everything? It worked. I always said you were the stupidest pirate on Mobius. Despite this, though, Plunder still helps looting the tomb. As, normalizing the language, Plunder is basically cursed with bad luck. With him, how can my luck get any worse? Well, to start, a little bauble falls out from one of the other treasures. He slips on it, falls down the stairs as which they were leaving, going headfirst into a vase and gets stuck in it. And in trying to pull it off of himself, ends up launching it into the ceiling, which weakens the ceiling and causes a cave-in. Trying to escape, a rock falls on some gold weapons, which he trips on and buries himself in said weapons. Curse in full effect, as back aboard, Zorobel thinks now Plunder has become a full liability, and to solve this, she puts him in a rowboat tethered behind the ship. Despite the short straw, at least he's away from anything sharp and stuff can't fall on my head. Yep, nothing can hurt me here, as he is seconds away from being devoured by a giant shark. Just, literally cursed to take L's.
Yeah, just, cursed to fumble nonstop, huh?
Sad. We see another flying ship piloted by a Captain Tiberius and his crew hunting for Plunder. He's sworn revenge on him for betraying him when they both serve under Blackbeak. He's gotten away from us so far, but his luck has got to run out eventually. As we then see Zorobel playing a game with Plunder. 2 black chests, exactly the same. One full of his share of the treasure, the other completely empty. If you guess the right one, you get your share. And she's ultimately doing this just to fuck with his bad luck curse, but to everyone's shock, he picks the right chest full of gold. Perhaps the luck be a-changin', folks. Plunder goes back to his ship, chest in hand. Perhaps he got over the bad luck curse. Unfortunately, he steps on a weak piece of wood, traps his leg, trips it over, and leans back first into the guardrail. He thinks, well, if it really was bad luck curse, I would have gotten overboard. But then the wood railing breaks too. One hand on deck, the other hold up the treasure chest, as the chest opens and dumps all the gold into the sea. Sad.
Bruh. Bro, this whole 30-page story, this quest for the treasure led to this moment.
And you know what? It was very well deserved.
Jesus, man.
So they end off by pulling him back up, as one of the crew notes that the gold disrupted the security shield. Thinking his bad luck can't get any worse from here, Tiberius ends up finding Plunder, downs his ship, and jump cut to Plunder and the crew marooned on a desert island with one coconut tree to sustain all of them. Of course, they end up falling directly on Plunder's head. Sad, folks. How will they get out of this one?
It's a great question, man. Many such cases where this has happened in fictional media.
Yeah, they're doing this to me tomorrow.
That's crazy. So, we've kind of finally reached the end of all the nonsense. So, we actually have a very important story, because this now actually moves the story of the series forward marginally. And it begins with Sonic, Johnny, Amy, and Tails on the deserted beast of the east coast of the Emerald Hill Zone.
Right, and more importantly, it's being told in the context of a Flicky's Island adaptation, which is interesting.
This is not a Flicky's Island adaptation.
Well, it presents itself as such at the start.
Yeah, it presents itself, but it is not at all.
Yeah, no, you'll see. So, the story, just called Flicky's Island, Kitching and Elsing, originally in issue 104 to 106. The eastern coast, as Aaron said, of the Emerald Hill. Freedom fighters are waiting for someone heading straight for them. A fleet of boats carrying the Emerald Hill folk finally returning to their homes. They're ecstatic to finally come home and start life anew without Robotnik looming over them, which leads someone to ask, Sonic, what are you going to do with no Robotnik to fight? He doesn't really answer the question, as the people look up as the floating island launches up from the surface of the water, and Amy receives a call from there too, from Knuckles. This is a great day, Sonic. You're finally the hero of Mobius, and I get my island back to myself. But Porker actually wants to stay on the island for a while. He wants to work on the ancient computer systems with Knuckles. And while he can suit himself, Knuckles thinks, Sonic, my man, you can finally retire. But that kind of pisses him off and slams the receiver down. But Knuckles is still kind of right. What will our boy Sonic do? Tails comes, thinking Sonic's off, but he says he's not. This is the day we've all finally been fighting for, right? Then a few days pass, we see Sonic literally kicking rocks out of boredom until Tails comes looking for him saying that there's danger. So he wants some action. Tails leads him to find a Flicky. Sonic doesn't really believe that Tails can understand it unless you speak tweet. Do ya? Actually, yeah, I kind of do.
Bro speaks Twitter?
Yo.
That's crazy.
Tails about to be saying stuff like this 79-year-old diner makes Coke the old-fashioned way.
Shut the fuck up. Immediately die.
Yeah, I deserve to be put in an institution for that one, folks. Help me afford that with Patreon. Anyway, we then skip to see another Flicky being experimented on by Grimer and Robotnik. So Robotnik, the two perfectly safe, apparently. They're saying that this Flicky can make a new organic battery for their new Badnik designs. Soon he swears to return to Mobius and to make the people pay for their insolence. How dare they depose me, the great Dr. Robotnik, and quickly demands the other Flicky they captured, but Grimer notes the other one kind of, escaped. This leads Robotnik to have the normal and reasonable reaction of trying to choke Grimer out. But, in the dropping is like, well, you know what? I don't think this really matters. What harm can one Flicky do? Come on, Grimer. It's time for the inhabitants of Flicky's Island to meet their new master. And hot on the case, Sonic and Tails on the tornado, following the Flicky to the island. Sonic saying, don't talk about how he came because of something you were told by a bird, okay? Once they land, though, Sonic sees the place is pretty calm. What's the trouble, exactly? Tails explains he doesn't really understand what the Flicky is saying entirely. I just kind of get a vibe, man? Sonic rationalizes this as a form of telepathy, and Tails tells them to follow. Let's take a look around. And further into the island, they come across an ancient building. Looks like it's been abandoned for centuries. Going in and down the stairs, Tails again warns of danger, but Sonic still sees the place as empty. But a voice calls out that he is wrong, as usual. This, of course, being the voice of Robotnik. Good that you're here to witness something rather interesting, but before Sonic is about to make his attack, Tails stops him, telling him wait to see what they're up against. Robotnik explains how he's always planned to investigate this island, just you deposing me accelerated my plans. And he's about to go into a horizontal warp ring and uses a pulley to fish in there, as Sonic explains his days of ruling Mobius are over forever. But he insists he will rule again. The whole of Mobius will suffer as never before, especially your precious Emerald Hill Zone. Grimer says Robotnik caught up and pulls up from the ring a Flicky. These creatures are only seen on the island a few times a year, and figured out they must come here from some other dimension. Now I know how to catch them, for you see they make quite ordeal organic batteries for my new range of Badniks, leading this Flicky to get cut up in the Badnik proper, gets those behind, and they're sicked on Sonic. So the boys, of course, stands up to fight. Sonic goes in for the all-reliable, the super spin, but just ends up bouncing off the armor of the Badnik. And Sonic says, well, man, I'm just out of practice. And he does think to himself, well, this is not the first time that hasn't worked before, so, no ordinary Badnik could have survived that. Robotnik gloats that the Flickies are the perfect power source for the new Badniks. They're unstoppable. Sonic's cool facade, though, doesn't break, but does have the nasty feeling that he might be right. So he puts his all into the next spin move, and again, just bounces off the Badnik. But the shell of the Badnik does disassemble and free the Flicky inside. So, there's still no bot Robotnik can build that I can't smash. Robotnik is impressed, but in that time, did capture Tails. And as Sonic takes one step closer, Tails' history, saying it was a mistake to take this pixel brain along, but Tails reminds him that it was me who asked you to come along to find what happened to the Flickies, and now we're all going to get turned into Badniks. Complaining about not having any new ideas, Robotnik responds he'll be ready to launch a full-scale attack to retake Mobius, and once again the people will tremble in fear of the name of Dr. Robotnik. So then, Robotnik asks Sonic, step into the cage, nice and easy. Tails tells him not to, but before anything,
a ring flashes. The light blinds all of them, and a big green-looking motherfucker rolls out of the ring. I am a prosecutor. I come in the name of the Eternal Dracon Empire. Speak, which one of you has discovered the secret of the Mobius ring? Hello. I hope you guys are excited.
Yeah, I hope you Warhammer enjoyers are going to enjoy this next bit, because good God. Sonic will accept this distraction, frees Tails as the prosecutor demands he remain still, and prepares to fire something from his staff. Sonic thinks he can just outmaneuver anything that's shot at him, but he's not getting shot at. Instead, what happens, the gravity of the room increases and pulls everyone down. I ask again, who discovered the secret of the Mobius ring and opened the door into our dimension? Sonic then asks, excuse me, what is this Mobius ring you keep saying? And the prosecutor decides to answer his question. Thousands of years ago, The Dracon Empire had an outpost on Mobius. Your kind was primitive back then, and we eventually just lost interest in you. But when we departed, we left behind the Mobius ring. So one day, someone advanced enough may come to understand it, and perhaps they will be a threat to our empire. Sonic's like, well, listen, the Mobians are peaceful people. Except for that guy. Walrus chops over there. So Prosecutor takes it as Robotnik is the one he's looking for and will take him back to the Empire for interrogation, as Robotnik is squirming in his arms saying that you should be taking the hedgehog. And as they're leaving, gravity returns to normal, and Sonic runs headfirst to stop them, as he wants Robotnik to answer for his crimes on Mobius in Mobius. We take care of our own problems here, leading Sonic to hit the Prosecutor in the back, which amazes him for his natural speed, but it has shook him to wait. And with energy levels lowering, he just has to leave now. With Robotnik in tow, the Mobius ring depowers, and just becomes a little paperweight. Sonic is worried about the Dracons, as now they believe Mobius can be a threat to them. But Tails picks up a rock that fell off the guy's armor. And Sonic does take a good look at it, as the icon actually does seem familiar to him. Now, you may be wondering, well, what could that mean? Let me tell you something. There is a very early issue. I'm talking like issue 10-ish.
Is this the Golem?
It's
is
the
this
Golem.
the fucking Golem? Yes.
Our man Kitching pulled an Ian Flynn on us. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, he digged deep for this one, and so the Golem is tied to the Dracon Empire.
This is not the last they've seen of Robotnik, they think. So let's just get out of here. All right? That's the end of that story. That's the end of all of our issues today. Folks, what have we learned today? I've learned a couple of things. Let's learn. Number one, this format, no notes. Perfect. Really like this.
Yeah, it's way better.
Way better. Number two, you mean to tell me we were going to do a nice, simple adaptation, Flicky's Island, and then we're like, nope, Warhammer 40K.
Nigel Kitching was really into Warhammer at the time, man. He was really about it. He was just like, fuck it.
I mean, you know what? Henry Cavill, also British, also likes Warhammer. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so.
One can only hope.
Still crazy twist and turn of events. But yeah, no, these stories, like, overall are pretty good. Supersonic, solid. The Flicky's Island story, fantastic. Plunder, little silly, but I liked it. Everything else was fine.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree.
We're definitely going to be sticking with this format moving forward for the comics. So folks, leave some comments down below. What did you think? What was your favorite story? Etc., etc. And before we go, we got to shout out some people. We got new patrons who joined us at patreon.com/SonicSpeed. We got our new patrons, Yozoi, forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Yozoi and T-Ranger, both $5 a month. Folks, thank you guys so much for joining us. You guys are great. You're sick. Love you guys.
Wonderful.
With all of our patron tiers, of course, our obligatory shout out at patreon.com/SonicSpeed. $2 a month, get the episodes early, plus bonus show. We're reacting to Sonic X there. Really cool, really fun. I mean, Sonic X generally, where we're at with it now is kitty chill with it, but I suspect things are about to ramp up with Sonic X. You're not going to want to miss out on it. $5 a month with Yozzy and T-Ranger, their tier. You get that plus a pre-show, which is basically an extra half of the episode at this point. I mean, the last pre-show, we covered the Game Awards, and it ended up being like 2 hours long. So listen, $5 a month, that is quite literally a bang for your buck.
Yes, you can hear us yap a lot.
And then $15 a month, you get all that and a video version of all of our content. And of course, you get free trials for 7 days across the board, across all of our tiers. So if you just want to check out what's behind the paywall, free trial, patreon.com/SonicSpeed. And of course, you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button, and like I just said, comment. Thank you guys so much for watching. What's going to happen next in Fleetway Sonic, folks? Really, I can't tell you. Look what we just went through. I can't describe this.
We'll see.
We'll see. Is Supersonic coming back? I hope so.
Wonderful. We'll see. Lock in.
Lock in.